This is something that you just shouldn't do when the Rayquaza fight is about to happen. But do not go, like this is the line. It's like, where do you not get to go past? About there. Okay, do not go past that line. Please, people, stop throwing the game. Okay, so let's talk about this Rayquaza fight. We need people to understand their role. So I'm going to start with the defender role. Now, these little dots are typically where the enemies will be positioned. Typically, you have about 5 people around there. You might have the odd person around here. You might have the odd person around there, but they'll eventually be making their way in. Okay, now this is just a preface. Actually, I might even start off with, forget the defender role. This is something that you just shouldn't do when the Rayquaza fight is about to happen in solo queue. You can do it in a planned stack, okay? You can do it if you're playing competitively and everyone's communicating and you're all on board with it. But do not go, like this is the line. It's like, where do you not get to go past? About there. Okay, do not go past that line. Please, people, stop throwing the game. Okay, that line that I've just drawn there, that applies for everything. It's like, where's the line? It's right there. Okay, that is as explicit as it's going to get. Do not cross the line. Okay, so stop backcapping. Stop diving deep and being like, help me, for where's my backup? It's like, mate, you're way too deep. Okay, generally, most people are risk averse and they don't even want to go past there. Okay, they don't even want to enter the enemy jungle. I think you should enter the enemy jungle if you're executing a kill, or if you're an assassin and you're trying to pick off, a carry like a Greninja or something as a Machamp. But generally, you probably don't want to go past that line either. Okay, so let's start with as the defender. So again, this is where the enemies are. Your role is to start and initiate the fight. You don't get to wait for your Greninja to go in and surf someone. Okay, this is your job 9 times out of 10. Let me get a different color there. 9 times out of 10, this is you. You're floating around in the open. You're giving your team vision. You don't get to backcap. If you're backcapping, the team can't fight. And then if you're backcapping, the team has vision on you. So here you are. If you decide to score here, these 5 people in there know that you're scoring. So then they go, oh, the Mamoswine's scoring. Let's engage. And then your team loses. And you're like, oh, why'd they die so quickly? Well, because you're soaking the damage, but you're off scoring 34 points. So again, I hope I've made it clear. Just don't do that. All right? You need to initiate the fight. You need to be going in around here. That's where you should be. Okay, I'd say until you get attacked and you look at the map, make sure your team is with you. Okay, make sure that if you've got people farming there and here, don't go in. Okay, that's silly. All right, so have a look at the map. Once you've got a couple teammates, like here and here, and maybe one there, and maybe one there, or something like that, then your role as the defender is to initiate the fight. That is your role. Okay, now let's talk about it as the all-arounder. Again, I'm just going to keep... Actually, I should have kept those dots there. Your enemies are going to be about there. Okay? Your role is the all-arounder. Generally, like if you're an Aegislash or if you're a Lucario, you're looking to pick off their jungler. Okay, like please understand that role. Generally, like 9 times out of 10 in the solo queue, that's your role. Okay, you're not initiating. You shouldn't be, and I know sometimes you have to, but you shouldn't be floating around in here, waiting to start a fight. That's not what you should be doing. You should be identifying. Oh, there he is right there. Let's zoom in. We need to kill that guy there. Okay, your job. You're sweeping. Okay, you're doing a bit of this. You're not scoring. You're not doing that. You score when there's 2 or 3 dead. Okay, you make a judgment. And you only score on that first tier base, not the second. Let's make that clear. So you're not doing that. What you're doing is you're looking to sweep. You're looking to smash them here. Okay, the perfect example of that is my Aegislash video. Right, that's exactly what I did. I think I followed almost that exact path. Right, and then you dive. And if your tank in here manages to give you a bit of vision. So it's like, oh, I can see 1, 2, 3, and you have a suspicion he's in there, then it's like your tank has done their role, your defender. Now it's time. Okay, you pick it off. Because generally, if you can pick off the kill, you've got enough mobility, or at least you've got enough, I guess, team engagement to then get that kill and then sweep back into the action. Okay, so as the all-arounder, that is what you should be doing. Okay, let's talk about it as the jungle. Now, typically the jungle is going to be the likes of your Greninjas or your Cinderace or your Duraludon or something like that. Now, again, let's draw these here. I think what you should be doing is you should be here and you should be pressuring some damage onto the Rayquaza. You should be hitting it a couple of times, because what the enemies are doing, like what you should also be doing as well, is you're panning your camera over the map and you're looking to see, oh, has the Rayquaza been hit? And generally, if the Rayquaza is getting hit, you get a move on. It's like if you're back here farming, you rush, and there's also that psychological effect of, oh, there's a bit of panic. It's like, we better quickly get a kill. We better quickly force ourselves into here so we can see what's going on, so we can get a bit of vision. So that's a really good way for a jungler to engage a fight without putting themselves in danger, because it's pretty unlikely, and for an enemy to have to sweep in the back here, okay, they've got to sweep in there, or they've got to sweep up there, sweep up here, it's very, very unlikely that you're going to get swept on like that. Very, very unlikely. And even if you do, you should have the eject, maybe a skill to get away. Okay, like 9 times out of 10, you're going to be fine. Okay, but as the jungler, let me get rid of some of this stuff. As the jungler, I'd say that's probably the best way to approach it. Here you are there, doing some damage, and then you've got the option, right? If your tank engages in here, and you've got vision, then you've got options. You can sweep around here, depending on the vision. You can sweep around here, depending on the vision. Okay, don't eject over this wall. That's dumb. Don't do that. Okay, but don't continue to hit the Rayquaza. Okay, and whatever you do, do not go up there to score. Do not do that. Okay, if you've engaged the fight as the jungler by hitting them and forcing the enemy to run in, then you need to be present at that fight. So you need to be doing some kind of damage. Okay, so generally, or you might even sweep down like this and up again, like there. Okay, or you might even just sweep and sit in that bush there. So there's so many options, and you can do them all relatively quickly, and depending on your range, and if you've got your Unite move, which you should have, that's generally a pretty good idea. Because a lot of the time, if you're doing that, the enemies have to be there. So like if you've hit the Rayquaza, you're forcing them to come in. Now, I know you might be thinking, oh, what if my team starts ripping the Rayquaza? Like, just ping retreat. Okay, start tapping the Rayquaza, but ping retreat, and hopefully your team will get the message and say, like, we're not trying to rip this, I'm just trying to force a fight. I'm trying to force the engage. Now, in my experience, people are actually pretty switched on with this, and they kind of get the message of, like, retreat as in don't hit the Rayquaza, not retreat as in let's run all the way back here. Alright, so let's consider this team fight if you were the attacker or the CC support. A good example of this is like a Pikachu or a Ninetales. Okay, something that does damage, but it also provides some stun. And you're not the assassin. So, like, we kind of have an idea of what that role is. It might even be a supporter, like even like an Eldegoss of some kind. Okay? You need to be present. I think right about there, let me get a black here. Right about there is a good spot. Because generally the enemies will start about here. Okay, there might be one here, but that gives you, you've got safety. You've got repositioning here, depending on the vision. You can run back there, you can run around here, you can run up there. Okay, depending on whatever's going on. Because remember, you're squishy, so you've got to be able to run, but you also need to be able to follow into a fight. So you've got these paths here. You might even have a path down there for whatever reason if people decide to pick a fight down there. Okay, but you might even sweep around here. Okay, it depends on whatever your team decides to do. However, You're not engaging. You don't walk out here, because if you get dived on by the enemy, if they dive on you and you die, then it's a 4v5 and you've done nothing. Or you might get a Pika ult and do like 3k damage. Cool. It's like late game, that's really not going to be doing much, and a 4v5 without the stun, you've pretty much lost it for your team. So all I'm saying is don't be the one to engage the fight. So don't be the one to engage the fight, but be at the fight. Okay, again, it's like tanks. You need to do what you're doing. Okay, now sometimes in solo queue there's no tank. Well, if you're the AG slash and you've got 4 attackers, then unfortunately you're that person who's doing the scouting. Okay, stay in shield form and, you know, just understand that you're not going to have the best damage numbers. All right, but, you know, we need to approach this Rayquaza fight properly. Okay, so that's what I think is a good idea. Alright, let's talk about the supporter role. The supporter role is, this is a hard one. Because you can do nothing. You can actually do nothing. Or I class Trevenant in this nothing role, because Trevenant can be a tank, but he can also kind of do nothing. Like if he just gets picked off. Or if he just gets CC'd. Like he's not going to do any damage and he's not going to CC anything, so it's tricky. But as this supporter role, okay, let's pencil some things in. Your jungler, let me zoom in. Your jungler should be positioned about there. Your attack damage should be about there. Your, I'm going to call this, actually I might, how can I, attacker, AT, and your all-arounder should maybe be about here, all-arounder there. Okay, you want your tank to be engaging there. You've got a tough one. I think you sit about there. I think you are sitting right about there. Okay, because you need to be in the pocket of this guy here, potentially this guy here, and you need to be in this action for when your all-arounder, fingers crossed in the solo queue, decides to sweep around there or decides to sweep around there. That's the pathing that they should be doing if they know what they're doing. Now, generally in my experience, like all-arounders, a decent all-arounder will actually do this. Okay, they've got this understanding. It's just their execution might not get pulled off so well for a couple of reasons. But the supporter has got the toughest role because it's the easiest role to do nothing in. It's like, oh, my whole team's dead and I still have my Blissey Unite. It's like, well, you need to take some responsibility for that. It's not that, they sucked. It's that you didn't support them properly. They only dealt 30k. Yeah, well, maybe they would have dealt 45k if you had have supported them, right? So, you know, you can't just palm off everything. The supporter, and again, it depends on who your jungler is, and it depends on who your all-arounder is, and it depends on who your attacker is. But I think the general rule of thumb is whoever you have trusted the most during the game, trust them at the Rayquaza fight. Stay in their pocket, okay? But I think you need to start here, and you just, if you're a Blissey and you're going, I want to use my Unite move on my all-arounder, wait for them to sweep in. Once they get about here, then launch it off, and you'll have all that damage that can go through there once you hit them, right? Super, super dependent, but this is how we want to approach Rayquaza fights. So hopefully you have found this video some help. And please, if you want to check out a quick introduction on the Rayquaza fight, just some quick gameplay, click on this video right up there, the Age of Slash one. It's such a good example of how you want to approach as the assassin.